Welcome back to GNS Consulting. As some of you already know, once a month I give a different presentation on management, leadership, communication, team building, de-escalation. Sometimes I touch on sales and marketing. This week what I'm going to talk about is communication. And communication is really critical in companies. All things being equal, for certain jobs you have to have a certain credential or a certain degree to even get the interview. But with that being said, after you're hired, the thing that gets you promoted quicker than anything is your ability to communicate and to communicate well. And this is where a lot of people struggle. I was talking to a friend of mine, and they've been working for a state institution for 6 years, and they're still on night shift with Tuesday, Wednesdays off. And then they see other people that have been there 2 and 3 years, and they're moving into different positions. And I told them that it's because of the communication. You have to be able to advocate for yourself. Now, here's a couple things that happen during communication. This is, I actually learned this from my wife. I've been married 28 years. And those of you that have listened to me before, you know, I have my degree in leadership and I own a consulting company. But most of our material here is relatively organic. And my wife would tell me, "You're not listening to me." And I'm thinking, I am listening to you. And it took a while for me to really understand what she was saying. And this is true in business too. Sometimes people will feel that you're not listening to them, although you're being attentive and you're responding to what they're saying. But what she was saying was, I wasn't processing what she was saying. As soon as she would come up to me, and this happens in companies too, as soon as someone comes up to you and you know the direction of the conversation, you go, "Oh, okay, I know where this is going. I know what they want to talk about." We tend to shut off and we start formulating a response. And so while they're talking, we're already in the process of formulating a response. And when we do that, oftentimes we miss key components of that dialogue. So to be an effective listener, what you need to do, and this takes a lot of practice, and I'm still working on it myself, is regardless if I know the direction that the conversation's going or not, I let them finish what they're saying, I digest it, I process it, and then formulate the response. And I found by doing that, that has saved me a lot of grief in business and a lot of miscommunication. Another thing with communication is we have to remember, with the more technology we have, the worse communication's getting. Because oftentimes we're getting the content, but we're not getting the context. And for those of us that do public speaking engagements and stuff like that, we know that body language is 93% of the message. So if you're sending something in a text or you're sending something via email, they have the context or the content, but they don't have the context, and they're not privy to your body language at the time. And so sometimes things can get misconstrued. What is it they're really trying to say here? And then I'll just end on this one last note, and this will help a little bit with marriages for those of you that are married. I've been married 28 years, and I just learned this a few years ago, and I'm going to share it with you. One of the things that my wife used to do is she would come up to me, and she had a problem. And so she would come and she would share her problem with me. Well, what's the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to give her a solution to fix her problem. What I was missing is she didn't really want a solution, and she would tell me, "I don't want you to fix it." Now, in my mind, that made no sense at all. Like, if you're coming to me with a problem, I'm going to give you a solution. But the way that she processes things is she shares it with 5 or 6 different people, and then she gets all the input from all the different people, then she processes it, and then she formulates her response to the problem after she's collected all this data. So to save both of us a lot of grief, I told her, have me be the last person that she comes and talks to after she's talked to everybody else. All right, thanks a lot from GNS Consulting, and we'll see you next month.